Your unique story, our global audience. Global One Media.
You are never too young to eat clean. Welcome to Global One Media Stocks to Watch, exclusive interviews with top executives of publicly listed companies. Today, I get up close with Else Nutrition Holdings, developers of plant-based products for infants and toddlers. Now, is this the disruptor to watch in the global kids nutrition market that dates back more than 100 years and is known to be dominated by highly processed formula products? Else Nutrition Holdings trades in Toronto on the TSX as BABY, B-A-B-Y, in the US over-the-counter as BABYF, and in Frankfurt as ZERO-YL. It's time to meet Hamutal Yitzhak, co-founder and CEO of Else Nutrition Holdings. Thank you so much for being here, Hamutal.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. I'm really excited to start the story.
Yeah, your company is in such an interesting space, an alternative to dairy and soy in a unique subsector. Can you share with our viewers how Else Nutrition came to be? I wonder, is there a baby involved in this company story?
It is. It definitely is. It's a personal story. Besides one other fact that we are veterans, the founders are veterans of this industry for many years. We've been operating the businesses of the large companies, the big box companies like the Abbotts and the Nestle's of the world. And we saw, what inspired us was that there was a need for another alternative because of lots of, I would say, issues and the sources are so limited. The soy and the dairy are the only options. So having so limited variety of options in terms of proteins poses a kind of a threat, and also it doesn't work for everyone. And our personal case was actually having a baby. It wasn't mine. Wasn't my baby. It was my co-founder's baby. She was his granddaughter actually at the time. She was a very young baby who was suffering from very, very severe allergy to the dairy formula she was on. And then when you come to that point, you switch to soy, and that didn't work for her either. And then the only option that you got is a kind of a dairy-based formula that is overly processed. It's called hyperallergenic. It's actually super hydrolyzed. They hydrolyzed the protein, but that didn't work for her either. And she was on a failure to thrive. And that what triggered us to start developing something else for her.
Wow. Amazing to hear about the genesis of the company. Now, I know there are very high standards for kids nutrition pretty much around the world. So I'd love to learn a little about your flagship products, what's in them, and how they're different from other products in the market.
Yeah, so we're actually trying to change the entire industry to set it to a different direction where products are cleaner, more sustainable, and also based on whole food ingredients. That's the most important part, besides being plant-based. Of course, we're plant-based and soy-free because both soy and dairy are very strong allergens, and around 40% of babies in the US alone are already catered with those formulas that are, that are specialty formulas and cater the allergic or the sensitive or the intolerant babies. It's a big problem. It's not something negligent that you can say it's a very small portion of the market. So we have developed a product that, those attributes are really across the board in terms of our portfolio. It's relevant to our baby cereals, to our toddler nutrition product, and to our kids' nutritional drinks. And of course, to our infant formula, which is still under an FDA pathway for a permit. Our infant product is not yet in the market. It will be in Australia very soon. But in the US and in Europe, we still have to undergo a clinical pathway, which is in the middle we are in the middle of it. So going back to our products and our innovation, what we have managed to create is actually a product that is all natural. It is it meets all the regulatory standards in terms of the composition, but it is minimally processed, based on whole foods ingredients, and it is not using any derivatives of nutrients or food ingredients. It takes the entire food ingredient in its whole, and we create a product that is actually transforming 3 real whole food plants in their natural form, using only all natural processes, which are also patented by us, and it's part of our invention, to create a human milk analog the way all the rest of the industry does. But we just do it from plants, which are minimally processed without using any, chemicals or solvents or hexane, all kinds of things that really are involved in this industry, and isolate those nutrients in order to create a formula. There's no other way to create an infant formula without breaking down the nutrients, as far as we speak about dairy or we speak about soy. In our case, we created a different method to process the ingredients, which keeps them intact and keeps them in their whole form. So what we can say is actually that we are the world's only formula that maintains the natural way of nutrients digestion. And we keep our proteins or our carbs or our fats intact because we are taking them directly from the almond or the buckwheat. They're not broken down. They're not getting into the product as if they were already isolated or even digested, so-called.
So there's no need to add the nutrients back into the product. You're maintaining the product in its
we are maintaining the entire composition required by law, required by regulation, through those whole food ingredients. Because when you take an almond or when you take buckwheat, it contains all those nutrients. It contains proteins, fats, and carbs, and of course vitamins and minerals. But when you come to create a formula, at least in the old school products which exist in the market, you have to break those ingredients. Let's say when you take the dairy, you have to break it down to the nutrient level to isolate proteins, carbs, take away the fats because they don't fit, and do all kinds of manipulations on the ingredients so they become heavily processed. In our case, it doesn't happen. We take the entire almond, we keep them intact. We take the entire buckwheat, we keep it intact, and we process it in a way that those ingredients, those nutrients are bioavailable to your body, and it maintains the right composition according to regulation. That's the secret sauce of it. And we made a twofold paradigm shift: a novel protein source and a new way to process the ingredients.
Absolutely fantastic.
Our product,
yeah. Please go ahead.
Just one more sentence. Our product is the most sustainable product, the cleanest labeled product in the industry. Of course, it meets the composition, and all the core ingredients are kept intact. As I said, it's an all natural product, and we're free of all the nasties, all the hormones, antibiotics, gluten, hexane, all those things that are present in many products in our industry. We're free of all of them. That's it.
So really keeping to the spirit of whole foods. Sounds amazing, but is it tasty? Can you share some customer feedback?
A delicious and nutritious product. Absolutely. I mean, we have shown the growth of this product. I guess there will be some commercial questions, but definitely we can show the growth and the support of consumers. If it wasn't a tasty and, it wouldn't have good palatability, it wouldn't have worked for people. So definitely it's a delicious product.
And can you share with us maybe some of the customer feedback that you've received so far, or talk to us about the growth of your customer pool?
So we've grown. I can say that we can show that through the retail growth and the revenue growth. We've grown 10x from 1,200 stores at the beginning of 2022 to 13,000 retail stores in North America in the beginning of 2023. It's over 10x growth. And it's partnerships with the largest retailers in the US, like Walmart's and CVS. So we're talking about thousands of stores that, that list the product. And so obviously the customer base has grown tremendously. And we are a national brand today in North America, including Canada. We're listed with all the big retailers, not all of them, but most of them in Canada. And we're listed with many big retailers in the US, in 10,000 stores in the US alone, and about 3,000 in Canada. We are present in 50 states in the US, so we're a national brand, which we haven't been, let's say, 2 years ago when we started. So the growth curve was really very steep.
Yeah, it sounds like amazing growth in the past couple of years. What do you attribute that to?
So I think it can be attributed, first of all, to the novelty and the fact that there is another alternative. I mean, I think people have been waiting for another alternative for so many years, and it wasn't there. And then suddenly comes a brand it wasn't a well-known brand, but they gave it a trial, and the product was delicious. And not only that, but it does solve the problem. We've actually, we've seen the reviews on Amazon and reviews on our website telling us stories about children, starting from just, my baby really liked it. And, it's such a delicious product. And it's such, it dissolves well, and it goes very well in his tummy, starting from that. But we also got to the other extreme, stories like babies that were severely ill, like one baby that was paralyzed. He was born paralyzed, and he couldn't absorb anything. And he was hospitalized, of course. I mean, his entire cord was not functioning, and he didn't. So typically, those type of babies are very sensitive to all kinds of foods, and he was tube fed, and nothing worked for him. He was rejecting everything that he was fed with, even the most medical and hypoallergenic products in the market. And they tried everything. And then they heard about ELSE, and they tried it. And not only that baby recovered from being tube fed into oral feeding, he absorbed it, and he started gaining weight, and it really worked for him. So we have I think dozens on dozens of stories like that, of extreme stories. Another child that didn't have an esophagus when she was born. So she had an artificial esophagus. And the same thing happened. She couldn't absorb anything. She was rejecting everything, and she was tube fed. And then they heard about ELSE. They tried everything before that, and that worked for her. So we're so excited. We are so thrilled and happy to hear those stories. And so we decided to test this in a more scientific way. And we made a clinical survey that is completely, it was done by an external body according to a very strict questionnaire that is a clinical questionnaire that is completely scientific. I mean, it is statistically validated in the literature. You just have the questionnaire, and you ask the questions, you get the data. The data was analyzed, and we found out that 80% of the customers that had issues that were related to feeding with other products in the market have fully recovered or almost fully recovered from all the feeding related symptoms. You name it, whether it was diarrhea or failure to thrive, all other digestive symptoms, food intolerance, behavioral issues, poor weight gain, picky eaters, eczema, all those things. and we have the statistics for each one of them, have been fully recovered or almost fully recovered. And we published that. We published that in a medical magazine. It was also orally presented in all kinds of medical conferences. So those things make us understand that this product really works, and it's really different because it is minimally processed, it's whole food based, and it is also plant based, which is anti-inflammatory. It has anti-inflammatory effects. The almonds definitely have that. So here we are.
Amazing. Let's talk about the commercial aspects. Which markets are you currently focusing on, and which are you looking towards?
Yes. So currently we try to focus on the most revenue generative market. Also, you probably are aware of the fact that a lot of growth companies or micro and small cap companies are quite constrained in terms of fundraising at this point. So we're trying to be very efficient. We put in a lot of efficiencies and we cut a lot of budgets where we don't see immediate revenues or all kinds of activities. We try to focus on North America growth and see we anticipate to see the effect of this additional 10,000 stores that we got into in the recent month, to see the effect of that, because velocity takes time to be built in the stores. We hope to see the effect of those additional incremental revenues very soon. We focus on these markets, but on top of it, there are two additional markets that we're entering on an immediate basis. One is the UK as a gateway to Europe. These products were already produced and are about to be launched very soon in the UK. And in Australia, which is also a gateway to China, we are about to launch a toddler product, but also an infant product, because over there we are eligible. And that is a big opportunity to ship those products beyond Australia also to the Chinese market. In the Chinese market, you have a very big chunk of the market where children are extremely sensitive to dairy. So we think this is a very strong opportunity. We'll take it whenever we can invest into China. Yeah.
Fantastic. What are the next steps for the company, the primary areas of focus? Can you talk about that in terms of what you're looking at channeling resources to?
Okay, so we plan to be in North America, which is a major market for now. We plan to expand into 15,000 stores by the end of the year and to maybe 30,000 by the end of the next year. But this is all in discussions with all the big retailers. We are about to launch a ready-to-drink kids nutritional product in North America, both Canada and the US. This is also going to happen very soon. It's I think end of Q3 launch or early Q4 launch. Products been run already. We have a producer in Canada, and this is a very big category in the US and Canada. I think it's $1 billion category. Our products are with the very unique selling proposition of whole foods. I mean, there are some other plant-based kid shakes, but our product is a complete and balanced nutrition shake. And it is, I think it's the only one that's based on 90% whole food ingredients and clean label and all the rest of, and also we are very low in sugar, but delicious in taste. We are 40% less sugar than leading brands in this market. So this is another product that is about to be launched, and it's a big part of the revenue forecast or revenue projection for the next year. And there are the EU expansion and the Australian expansion, adult nutrition, which is planned for next year, and of course the holy grail, which is the FDA approval. And we are in discussions with the FDA about certain components of the formula. We have already conducted all the preclinical studies, and now we're in discussions about the preclinical studies and the protocol of the clinical study. alignment with them. And once we are aligned, fully aligned, we can start the clinical study, which is about to take 1 year. And then we assume another 1 year to get the approval with the back and forth with the FDA.
So the kids' cereals, the kids' shakes are targeted for the North American market. For the baby infant formula, you're still waiting for approval on that for the American market. Is that right?
That's correct. But we also have a toddler formula. We have baby cereals, which is from 6 months onwards. We have toddler formula from 12 months onwards. And we have those kids' nutritional shakes from 2 years or 3 years onwards up to 13 years. But the infant product from 0 to 12 months, that's a product that is still pending approval for FDA as well as in Europe. In Australia, we are eligible, so we can sell a product. We start from 6 months, and this is going to be launched soon, very soon.
Are there any key updates that you want your investors to be aware of at this point in time?
So I think the catalyst for growth I have already mentioned. There are certain strategic partnerships and discussions which are quite confidential at this point, so I wouldn't be able to speak to that. But I think I've touched the major points, and we've covered a lot in this conversation.
Very exciting and really wonderful to hear about clean, sustainable alternatives in this important space, kids' nutrition and infant nutrition. So here's to less allergies and discomfort worldwide, and many more healthier and happier little ones and parents too, I'm sure. I've been speaking with Hamutal Yitzhak, co-founder and CEO of Else Nutrition Holdings. Hamutal, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you for having me.
It's a real pleasure.